Hi everyone, I'm back. We had a little bit of drama over the ridge there with the farm. They're doing a controlled burn, and I was trying to do this visual podcast the first time, but there were like cows running around crazily in the background because of the fire, but it's all under control and everything is good. So with that aside, let's try and do this podcast again. Let's take it from the top. Today's podcast is going to be about astral projection and OBE, which stands for out-of-body experience. As some of you may know, I did a podcast on this topic a few weeks ago. It did very well, people really enjoyed it, and then I did a post in the astral projection group on Facebook about tips and tricks of how to go about the process of astral projection, kind of from what I'd learned from my experiences. And that post did really well. So I decided, instead of just doing an audio podcast, that I would actually do a visual podcast talking about my experience with OBE, a little bit my personal experience of like how it happened for me, and then possibly a bit about how you can do it, or even its own separate video, I think, is worth the merit of how you can go about the process of astral projection. Okay, so let's start. So if you had spoken to me a few months ago about this topic, I would have told you were crazy. I was just one of the people, as I think many people are, and probably many people listening to this or watching this will relate to, when people talk about astral projection in that kind of metaphysical way, it's a bit like, well, that's nice and all, but are you really astrally projecting, or are you just kind of like maybe having a vivid dream and imagining you are, or perhaps you're doing psychedelics and you're achieving it that way, or perhaps you're just very spiritual, if you know what I mean. So there's that whole thing, and that was my very biased, and it was biased, admittedly, like it was, because I'd never experienced it. So of course, if you haven't experienced it, you're not going to believe that it's real or possible. Like, it's just one of those things that even if I'm telling you about my experience, I completely understand if you won't believe me at all, if ever, unless you yourself happen to have the experience. I just wanted to relay the experience I have had with it in case one of you guys does decide you want to try it like I did and go down the rabbit hole of astral projection. So going back to last year, I was watching some videos on NDE, which is near-death experience. So it's basically this phenomena. It's like a recorded phenomena, like we know it exists. It happens to multiple people who go into cardiac arrest, where basically when they're dying or in the process of dying, or even are dead in some cases, like clinically brain dead, they will experience what they call a spontaneous OB, spontaneous out of body, where they're basically like thrown out of their body as kind of like a spirit, I guess, or an energetic form, but then they can remote view, so they can, let's say you're in surgery and you become brain dead, you'll leave your body, but then there are actual recorded cases where you'll still be able to see from above yourself your body on a surgery table. You can hear with great clarity, you can hear what the surgeons are talking about, to a point where in some cases when people have come back from near-death experience, they've been able to correctly relay what people were talking about in other rooms far away from them, what the surgeons were talking about in great detail while they were under anesthesia, and often had their eyes taped up. So I thought that was kind of fascinating. You know, I love paranormal stuff anyway. I love ghost stories and recounting of that. You know, that's fascinating to me. So I was watching these videos, and there came up a video by a chap called Darius J. Wright, and he was talking about OB, like purposefully, so not spontaneous, where you kind of accidentally do it because you're in trauma or dying, like spontaneous, like where you get in a car crash and you're thrown out of your body, right? He's talking about it where it's purposeful out-of-body experience, like where you are by choice leaving your body and experiencing the same phenomena. And so I'm kind of listening to him, and he's got this wild, crazy tale about how he's being shown these different realms, and you know, there's like these different kind of dimensions and these beings that like showing him space. And of course I'm sitting there thinking, this is absolutely crazy. Like, this is just, it's interesting. It's super interesting. So I'm watching it, And I genuinely believe this guy believes it, but no way is this real. There is just no way in hell. But I'm watching it, having my little food and enjoying my little YouTube. And so I super enjoyed it. I thought, wow, it's super interesting. And at one point during the video, he talked about how that him personally, he was able to achieve it while he was in a state of sleep paralysis. Like that's when he was able often to leave his body. And so I've actually suffered and had sleep paralysis in my life, and hypnagogic, hypnopompic hallucinations, which are basically if you have a night terror and you wake up and you see something, it's kind of like an extension of your nightmare. Like when you sleep, our body produces a chemical to protect us that paralyzes us, and this stops us from enacting out our dreams. Stops us from sleepwalking. People who sleepwalk do not have enough of this. That's why they can walk around and hurt themselves, because they're dreaming and walking simultaneously. And that is, as we know, not good. So sleep paralysis, while it's scary, if you've ever experienced this and you're watching, it's actually a good thing to have. It's actually your body protecting you, and it doesn't last long. It might feel like in the moment while you're stuck there, you can see scary things in a room, shapes and shadows. Sometimes you feel pressure on your chest, but it's completely scientifically explainable, and you'll be all right if you have it. So I thought, well, I do occasionally get sleep paralysis. I also lucid dream regularly. Like I enjoy lucid dreaming. I love being able to change the environment in my dreams, bring back characters from history, meet people, like create totally new environments. It's super fun. So I love that part of lucid dreaming. Is amazing. And that's why I thought these people are astral projecting. I thought, well, maybe they're just, lucid dreaming, and that's why they're conscious. So anyway, I didn't think too much about this video, but put it back in the, in the Rolodex at the back of my mind. And about a week later, I was taking a nap in the afternoon. I went upstairs to go sleep because I was exhausted, and I laid down to go to sleep and basically ended up in sleep paralysis and was aware that I was in sleep paralysis. So I was laying there and I thought, well, that guy in that video, he was saying like if you get sleep paralysis, that's a great time that you can just leave your body and like float out of your body, right? It sounds fucking wild. And so I thought about it. I thought, I'll just, why not? I'm in sleep paralysis. It's not like I can move anyway or go anywhere, so I might as well have a go. And I swear to God, the second that I start thinking about leaving my body, I literally leave my body. Like I float up out of my body. Like let's say that this is my body flat and this is my little spirit. I kind of just like halfway at this angle floated up out of my body. I look behind me. I can I'm back there on the bed. I'm like, oh my God, it's real. Holy shit. Everything the guy said is real. You can actually leave your body. This is the most terrifying experience of my life. And then I started to remember stuff about how, talk about every time you do this, you get this great, immense fear. Like it's so fearful, you will feel like you're dying. And sure enough, this fear overcame my whole body, and I felt like I was going through the separation from my body. I physically felt as if I was going through the process of dying. And that was terrifying. And so I got this thought out of my body, and I knew I could have gone further. I knew I could walk or go somewhere else, but I'd heard about, these entities and these things that you can see in the astral, and I was so scared. I was like, nope. And I very carefully, as much as I'd come out, floated myself right back in my body. I seated myself right back down and I felt that merger and locked back into my body, sat upright, completely. My heart was da-da-da-da-da-da. I had like tachycardia, ran downstairs, grabbed my partner Michael. I was like, Michael, it's real. Astral projection, you can leave your body. We're not the body. We're separate. When you die, you don't really die. And he's just like, what the hell, lady? Like, I was absolutely crazy out of my mind, which I was feeling like at the time as well, because I totally dismissed all this stuff as being unreal, impossible, scientifically could never happen, was not real. And there I'd literally just left my body, observed my body, and then returned to my body, all while being conscious, like completely conscious. And so I had a big old glass of champagne, so I was scared shitless. I had that, calmed myself down, the fear went down. I thought, okay, now that we know this is a real phenomena, let's test it out. Let's put some science in this. Let's go in and let's try and see if we can replicate it and do it again. Because there's another part who's like, well, maybe I will never experience that again. But it's like, I'll tell you something. Once that key is unlocked, you can do it so much more. Once you've done it once, it's like the gate is open forevermore, and you can experience it again. And I didn't, keep in mind, guys, like if you're like trying to astral project, and I know people have been apparently like trying for years and they can't do it. I didn't even experience it or know about this till my 30s. Like, and I lucid dreamed all throughout my 20s. I had no concept of this. And so don't feel bad if you've been trying for ages and haven't achieved it. Like, yeah, I'm slightly annoyed at myself that I wasn't doing this throughout the entirety of my 20s. But at the same time, it's kind of like this cool thing that I feel I've unlocked, and now I've got to like explore.